I don't know, Sandra hasn't told me what she's picking up.
So we're good, you guys?
At the bakery.
Brenda, we're up and running? Or no?
Bakery pie? Well, the bakery pies are good.
I don't do pie. I don't bake.
Yes, we're ready. I love baking pies.
Call the Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. Let the record show that today is June 7th. The time is 9:00 a.m. Ms. Kathy, would you like to lead us in a pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Madam Secretary, would you conduct the roll call, please?
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
What?
Do we have any amendments to the agenda this morning, gentlemen?
The only thing I don't know if it needs to be on the agenda or not, but we discussed, and I appreciate both of you bringing this up because it's certainly appropriate, allowing the county offices that would like to attend the memorial service tomorrow to
Make that
temporarily close. I don't know if that needs to be a board issue or not, but
It's a good point.
I did, there's a couple people that aren't leaving, and maybe the best thing to do would be to put a sign in the window or in the door that says, hey, limited business.
Limited service.
But come in and see
right.
see Brenda or see Virginia, whoever's here.
Yeah, Brenda's on top of that. Already got it.
I just wasn't sure if we needed to have some kind of
Thank
formal
you for
act.
bringing
the
that
right
up. It's a
thing
good
to do.
point. Certainly would entertain that conversation. I don't know, Clint, what do you think? Is that something we need to formalize in the form of a motion, or can we just general consent that? And
Yeah, you can just do it.
okay. I certainly agree that it's probably fine if some people are gonna be here, we don't need to lock the doors, but we can inform the public that.
They have to come back.
That's right. Good, thank you, though, that's great, I hadn't thought about that. Agenda. Anything else, gentlemen, on the agenda amendments?
Not for me, sir.
Hearing none, we'll move ahead to audience introductions.
Go
You
slow.
drew the short straw. Give her time to write it down.
Yeah.
Becky Pulis, son.
Thank you. Okay. I don't believe we have any minutes to approve.
No.
So we'll move on to commissioner items. Commissioner Prince, would you?
Well, I normally write right on my agenda all the things I did since last meeting, and I'll just read what I wrote. Didn't do anything. Now, that's not really true. I mean, I didn't attend any formal meetings, but I did speak to several people who asked about washboard roads and are we going to have fireworks. I just took care of normal stuff, but I didn't go to any formal business meetings.
All right, thank you, sir.
And Ms. Kelly, I apologize. I owe you my activities for last month. I apologize.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I will get that
Did you get my email?
I did. Thank you for
I kind
reminding
of
me.
forgot about it. I would have remembered when I got to that part of the minutes.
I apologize, but I will get that done and get it to you.
Okay, thanks.
Cool, good. I don't know that I have done a whole lot of formal stuff either. Actually, I just got back from the CCI summer conference in Keystone yesterday afternoon. So I got back yesterday afternoon. The conference was, when was that? Wednesday and Thursday? Wednesday night, Thursday?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, yeah.
Tuesday full day, half a day on Monday.
I don't even know what today is.
It all blurs together when
Today's Thursday.
Today's Thursday, so yeah, they had an activity Monday evening and then Tuesday and then wrapped up yesterday. So I think it was a worthwhile conference. Had some great sessions and talked about broadband, of course, talked about some legislation that the governor's already signed that's now law or will become law when the date gets here. One being the new one call system for 811 for or utility locates, and it's going to, of course, affect every county when they start blading roads, and so it looks like they're recommending the counties segment all of their unpaved roads into 1 mile segments, and then deal with the utilities on a per mile basis as far as submitting a permit and getting a ticket to be able to do work on those unpaved county roads. So that's causing a lot of angst. That was one of the big things we set in on yesterday. And so anyway, had a good conference. I don't know that there was a whole lot else formally. Look real quick at my calendar to see if I'm missing something, but I don't think so from our last meeting, so that's all I have.
Yeah, I didn't have about the same thing. One thing I'll say about the 811 deal, it's not going to cost the county much to do that. It's going to cost the utility guy. I wouldn't want to be Sangre de Cristo or Black Hills or anybody, because they have to locate everything that crosses a county road and let us know when we apply for that 700, or we got 375 miles of road, and they're going to have to tell us where everything is. So that'll take time, and the big issue they brought up was every county's going to be asking for it at the same time. So you take 64, you figured it out, 64 times.
90, on the average, 1,500 miles of road, that's 96,000 miles of unpaved road.
The utilities, AT&T, you name it, it's all got to locate it. Good news is, blading it, it's good for 6 months, and then so we don't have to call every time. They'll mark it once, then what we'll do is take pictures, and then that's going to be a requirement for us. That's our own requirement. We'll tell our boys to take pictures, log it, so we know where it is, so the next time they go out or somebody has to do it, we do some digging ourselves, put a culvert in or whatever, we know what's there without getting 811. Then you call for it as you do it. Anyway, they'll remark it. Anyway, that was interesting. Action 22 I've been working with. I've got to go to a meeting this afternoon down in Pueblo. It's a board of directors meeting. And nothing big there other than they are working the new legislation, which Tom and I got briefed on in the meeting. A lot of all the legislative updates, which was interesting, but none of it really impacted us significantly at all. And CCI, I mentioned broadband. We sat in that broadband meeting at the end. That was good. And I will be attending the Mountain Connect, and I need to find you got the details on that, Brandon? Okay, so that's all I have for now.
Good. Yeah, we did. We had a guest speaker at one of those, if I may, and I think his name was Frank Cirillo. He was kind of a political analyst, and it was interesting to sit and listen to his views on some things. He didn't really come from a Republican or Democratic side. It was just a discussion about this transition with all the elections going on and the governor.
We're turning the governor, turning a bunch of other.
So that was kind of interesting. Not that he spoke directly to the impacts of counties, but I thought that was pretty enlightening for some of his observations, and then of course got into the national scope of things as well. So yeah, pretty good conference. Anything else, gentlemen? Commissioner items. Okay, attorney items.
Well, I met with Jackie Hobby last week. And this is an ongoing thing I always do, she is always dealing with zoning violations, some that she's discovered, complaints that are made, and her procedure is to send out a letter first of all, but when she doesn't get a response, then she asks me to write a letter. So I wrote several, I think 4 letters on various violations that need to be addressed. And yesterday I prepared, a while back you agreed to vacate a very short section of road there in Sierra City out by Lake Deweese. And I prepared, it has to be done by resolution, so I prepared a resolution, and I guess that's on the agenda for tomorrow, and a couple of quick claim deeds that will need to be signed, so that's what I did since our last meeting.
Which wasn't long ago, it was Friday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir, sorry. Or not, I don't,
Gary said he'd be late,
okay,
so.
okay, no problem. Go ahead, sorry. Didn't mean to-
No, I was finished, it's her turn.
Oh. I was gonna ask her to do that while you were
Okay.
finishing up. Yeah, I looked at that stuff and I see we're on the agenda for tomorrow, and that's really a follow-up of our,
Right. Yeah, you
previous
agreed to
action.
do it, it just
Yeah.
has to be a formal resolution to vacate the road right away, our interest in it.
Okay, good. Any response from Claudia's attorney? Have you heard anything?
No, I haven't got anything back yet on that, but I'm sure there will be.
Okay, thank you. Okay, administrative assistant?
Yeah, I have a couple things. I got a email reminder from Terry Munson over at the fire station, and she was wondering about the tower IGA. And now that we have a new Custer County Clinic administrator, if we want to again pursue this IGA for the tower
That's sort of what
maintenance.
the intent was, right? To get her in there, and a new one, and then we
Yeah.
would relook at it.
We said we were gonna hold off, and I appreciate her following up on that, because I kinda,
It's good.
Yeah, it's
forgot
been like a
about it.
2-year thing.
yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll,
So you want me to resurrect it and
Yeah.
send it out to everybody
You don't
again?
mind.
Bless you.
Thank you.
yeah, if you wouldn't mind following up with that a little bit. I
Okay.
can, you know, if nothing else, maybe we ought to just send a copy to her, the medical director, and let her look at it before we,
Attack.
yeah, and just say, hey, you know, we need to get some momentum behind this, but we want to give you a copy of it, and let you look at it real quick. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think she's gonna be brought up to speed on it. I mean, hitting cold with
Yeah.
those documents, go, what is this, why are we
Yeah.
doing it?
Right.
Those kind of questions
Yeah.
probably need to be discussed.
Yeah, I can schedule a meeting with her.
Yeah.
Teresa Kennedy is the admin over there, and she knows everything there is to know
Good.
about it, and she has all the documentation, so she should be able to help her with it.
Yeah.
I think we should move forward with it. We said
Yeah, if
we
you'll
would.
remind me, I'll shoot her an email and
Okay.
offer to meet with her, and at least, like you said, Jay, and I agree, and rather than hitting her cold turkey, is kind of let her know where we're at and why we're where we're at, and so on and so forth. So, good, okay. Anything else, ma'am?
And I think all of you have sort of been informed about this, but about, talking about the AC work upstairs and the fact that nothing works up there, and, I had, Michael Thiem come and look at it yesterday, and his opinion was that it was never installed correctly. Had Mario come, he got up on the roof last night, and, was looking for a breaker, and he sent his guy this morning, because Ed and I looked like all over this building for a breaker that was labeled AC, second floor AC, and there's none. And this,
Well, I thought the
Mario's,
first guy told you the breaker was, it was because it had a 30 amp circuit and a 20 amp breaker or something like that.
yeah, it's a 40 amp,
service.
40.
unit, and it has a 30 amp breaker.
Yeah. How did,
Or
so who
fuse.
told you it had a 30 amp breaker? That somebody must have found the thing.
Thiem
He
said
knows
that.
where it is.
But it's a fuse, it's not a breaker. I don't know. I mean, anyway, Ed's been working with them, and Ed went up there with Thiem, and then Mario's guy came this morning and tried to find a breaker box, and I tried to tell him that we could not find a breaker box, and we don't know it, but he didn't believe me. So anyway,
Trust but
couldn't
verify.
they couldn't find it this morning either. So, and that's where we're at.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and we talked about that a little this morning. I think, obviously, there's been some money spent on those wall mount AC units and some, you know, extensive work done, so I think we need to follow up and at least see if it's financially responsible to pursue that. I would think that it would be, but there seems to be some concern that they were never installed properly in the first place, and they cut some corners, and I don't know, so,
There's a plasma screen problem too. Somebody said.
yeah, I don't know.
Control
It's a
panel.
plasma unit, evidently plasma doesn't, it's like plasma TVs, they don't work at elevation, but Theme said there's like a box or something you can add to the unit to make it work properly at elevation, so.
Yep.
So
you
we
can pursue
will-
it.
It's in
Yeah.
process and.
Right,
you're
yeah, so
working
we're in the
diligently.
process.
Yeah, I think it's,
And I think
Meanwhile, they got the windows open, the fans on.
reasonable to pursue it, just to see where we're at financially. That's all right with you, gentlemen.
Agree.
Okay. Anything else, ma'am?
That's it.
Okay, good, thank you, appreciate it. Gentlemen, I should have brought this up under the agenda. Would you be comfortable with moving our new item of new business up? Since Kathy's here, we've already talked about this MOU, I think it's a formality basically, then she wouldn't necessarily have to sit there for however many,
I know she's got to earn her.
We have it on for 12:30, I think she needs to wait.
12:30, okay, we'll wait. We expect you to stay here though, you can't leave because.
Wouldn't wanna miss it.
That's right, so,
Yeah, I think that's
if
fine.
you're okay with that, gentlemen, I'd like to
Sure.
move down to new business and, talk about the approval of the MOU. So I would turn that over probably to Attorney Clint and Miss Kathy, and certainly we've got the MOU here, so.
Looking through this, it looked like it, and I saw your email to Ms. Brenda. I mean, this is basically the same one we did originally.
It
Just the
was
dates
all ready to
changed.
go before, yeah.
I changed the names and dates. And,
I have no issue with it.
Yeah,
And
we
I-
were all ready to go until the last minute when the school agreed to be the fiscal agent instead, so
Right.
it just sat there.
and I did not look up the recording or the draft minutes, but I thought we had voted to approve the MOU with those changes or not.
I honestly don't remember.
I don't either.
No, because I don't think we even had an MOU at
Yeah,
that point.
right, yeah.
said it was
Oh,
all
we hadn't
pending.
found it?
Yeah, because you hadn't seen the MOU,
Okay.
you approved pending being able to see. the
Okay, all right. So Chair would entertain a motion then to that effect, if you so desire.
I'll move that we formalize the memorandum of understanding between the Custer County and the Custer County Kids Council, dated today, authorizing the county to be the, is it the sponsoring agent or the fiscal agent? I never,
Not the
It
sponsor.
says fiscal agent in
fiscal
there.
agent, fiscal agent for the Custer County Kids
It's a
Council.
bookkeeper.
I'll second the motion. It's
So let's- bookkeeper.
been moved and seconded to approve the memorandum of understanding between Custer County and the Custer County Kids Council, primarily serving as, the county serving as fiscal agent. Discussion?
Okay, so what did we decide now? There's, insurance did we decide the workman's comp covered it? And there was gonna be a small cost for what, did we ever figure out what the cost really are?
$6.40 a year, 20 cents a year.
$6.20 a year.
$6.20
No,
a year.
was it a year or a month?
$6.25 a year is
A
what
year.
Alan was at.
Yeah.
And, what else did we figure out? Was there liability or something that was?
They're not housed here, so there's no liability.
I think that was it.
And we figured the time it takes for Donna to do it was minuscule, and she agreed.
Yep.
What else did we talk about?
You guys approved it pending seeing
Yeah.
Right, seeing the
MOU.
MOU. And
Does it
so-
look okay to
So
you?
does,
Or have you
I
seen?
have not seen it,
Oh, okay.
I believe Butch has a copy of the original one.
Right.
You know, before my time.
I think she ought to look at it.
It's
Yeah, do
exactly
you have an
the same
extra
except
copy?
the dates have changed.
Yeah.
so.
I only know the one that we had with the school, which was like a 2-pager.
Yeah, mine's longer, cause I
Yeah.
charge by the
You
hour.
charge by the hours.
Charges by the word.
Whereas,
All those whereases, so.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you put more whereas.
That's what lawyers do. Further discussion?
So, you said we're responsible to, from a budget point of view, to transmit it to who? To
whatever invoices they
Yeah,
submit.
they submit an invoice for a service of some sort to be paid through their grant, and
I mean, you
Donna
submit,
would
do
pay
you,
that.
do you get paid
Pardon?
monthly, or how do you?
Yeah, I submit a monthly, my hours and my reimbursement.
That'll go through the
Because
voucher
basically
system.
I end up kind of paying out everything and then get it as a reimbursement at the end of the month.
And you're aware that, of course, there's vouchers that you just get with Donna or Brenda, probably either one.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know
this
either,
year
but-
probably we will have that, this past year, we're operating such a shoestring.
Hmm.
There was only one time, I think, that something was submitted on a separate batch.
Okay, good. Further discussion, gentlemen? Comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of
Before you
approving?
do that, is she good with it? Does it look the same to you?
It's a pretty simple kind of relationship.
Mhm.
It's, we basically maintain everything, but the grant monies flow through you, and it needs to be that so that you are an entity that is audited, and your basic responsibility is to make sure that I'm not submitting stuff that I shouldn't. And it gets, everything I submit has to be signed off by our chairperson as well.
Okay.
Who signs it on
And it
behalf
goes to the
of
state.
Kids Council?
Is Butch the,
Butch signs on my invoices that I
But as far as
submit.
signing this
The other
MOU,
thing that
Oh,
will happen is that, the state monies, I then at the end, after I've submitted and said, here's what needs to be paid, and paid me, I submit to the state everything. And they have 45 days to then reimburse, but when that particular invoice comes in, we need someone who is a representative of whether it's the county or whether it's Donna. When it was with the school, we had a school board member so I used to just send those invoices to the school board member, and it's done electronically. She just puts an electronic signature on it and sends it to the state, so that it says that the fiscal agent saw the invoice that went to the state.
So that's one, who signs this?
Is Butch your chairman?
Yes.
Okay, then Butch
I
would
would
be the
assume
one
he'll
to
be
sign
the
it,
one to
yeah.
sign it for
Yes, he'll be
Kids
the
Council.
signatory on this.
Okay.
And do you get a grant yearly?
Yes, in fact, I had a meeting with the state on Tuesday, and because we are potentially, based on this meeting, making the change to a different fiscal agent, they've put a hold on submitting our
So when
grant information, because I will then have to submit additional paperwork that makes that change.
when you get that finalized grant, that they have given it to you,
The contract,
On-
they send us, they gave us a 3-year grant, but we have a new contract in
every
each of
year?
those 3 years.
Okay,
And the
so
amount changes.
I'll probably need a copy of that,
Yeah.
because I would assume that the auditors, since the money's
Mhm.
running through
Right.
us,
Right.
they're probably gonna wanna see that,
And
so.
then we are hoping that we will get notified in mid-August that as of September 1, we will have an additional grant from the Buell Foundation, which we will
Oh, you
also
talked
need
about
to
that,
submit
yeah.
on. And I will need to submit new pieces to the Buell Foundation, because when we applied for the grant, we were still with the school. And that's basically things, just the link so that they can look at financial status of the county and that sort of thing.
So I have a question for Clint. This is just a technical question on the MOU. You have here the right words are the fiscal agent with the express understanding we're not obligated to provide any funding.
Right.
How do we pay Donna? How do we account for the money we are spending to be the fiscal agent? Does that mean that?
I'm sorry, I don't know, we're not.
Well, part of
wondering
it,
if the salary we're
it
gonna
does
pay
cost
her.
us time, and we're signing up to it. Is there something we have to say in the MOU, or what does fiscal agent mean? We're gonna execute it at our expense, right?
But I mean, you're talking about Donna's.
Sure, well, time to be or anybody's time to take the money and do whatever we're gonna do to be the administrator. administrator for it. That
By-
costs time.
I just think just naming the county as the entity is sufficient, obviously.
That's our normal, or whatever we do in normal business is covered by whoever comes in to do business, and this would be one of them. Is that how we work it?
That's how I would see, our finance officer is the one that handles all of the financial transactions, we don't have to.
Okay. So I was just looking, that's
Identify the
that's a
individual.
hardcore, no funding means nothing. So I was just curious.
Well, and it says we're not obligated to it. It doesn't say we can't.
Not obligated to provide any funding. Yeah.
We're not obligated.
we can
may
spend our
choose to
own-
do that, right. I mean, if we want to split hairs, that's how I would
I
look at it.
don't know,
It's
just
just
want to
part
make
of
sure
it.
that the auditor is happy.
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be any problem
Or
with the way
anybody
this
else.
is worded at all.
Good. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the memorandum of understanding between the county and Custer County Kids Council, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I will sign that and we'll move that along to Ms. Camper, and then if you want, I don't know, would it be reasonable to just ask Kathy to take this and have Butch sign it, or?
Yeah, I'm not sure, waiting for an email back. I'm either meeting with him tomorrow or Monday, so.
Have your signature as well.
And hopefully, one of you will be at our dinner and meeting on the 14th.
I will be there.
Okay, I will be sure to see you. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I've got a conflict too, but, I might be there for the first half hour, so. Yeah, you can take that with you.
It's gonna be at the school, yeah, Miss Kathy?
Pardon?
That's gonna be at the school, right?
No,
No,
it's at
Second
the back
Street.
room.
Back room, I
Back
remember.
room, Second Street. Yep. Dinner at 5. We'll feed you first.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pop Tarts, cause it's a kid thing, right?
Yeah, but, hot dogs
No,
and,
Marion Williams is
juice
doing
box.
that.
Yeah, juice box, that's right.
Like
Okay.
some cheese boxes and straws.
Thank you, ma'am,
I'm
appreciate
just
it.
waiting for
Yeah, that's fine. We'll move on then, to our staff reports, Road and Bridge. Thank you, sir, for being here, appreciate it. Forward, my golly, good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, how are you?
Gary.
When you bring it back,
When was that council meeting?
14th to 5
I've got it
o'clock,
on the calendar.
The back street.
5 to 6 at, 2nd Street back room.
Now, I would never ask you to do this, but I want to thank you for doing it, because I didn't ask. There was maybe 100 yards on the way to my home that was so bad, 3 miles an hour over the, I came home yesterday, slowed down to 3 miles an hour, and it was smooth, so thank you. And I will never ask you to do that for my benefit, but I appreciate you doing it.
Was that on 341?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was over it several times over the weekend and knew that we needed to have some attention right away.
Thank you.
Well, and as well, I can tell you that you made a lot of people up Hermit Road happy. That was a great improvement on that. I haven't been up to the top because I think you just finished that work yesterday or day before, but
Right, yeah.
going to the lower part made a huge difference.
Yeah, I wish we could get some rain on it now. The sand is right down, it's kind of dusty, but it got washboard so bad that we needed to lay it. And then we tried to dump as much water on it as what we could to see what was going on. But it just, what it is.
Yeah.
We just need some rain. The valley's evidently right.
Get the new truck, how's it work?
We got one and it's working great. We're actually underweight on both the front and the tandems on the back. About 1,500-1,600 pounds, so we're in good shape.
Totally loaded,
Yes.
totally full.
Same tank, huh?
Yeah, same tank. And you can tell that the chassis is a different setup. It's so much stronger. Before on the other trucks, if you loaded it full, it felt like you had an elephant on your back. But these, yeah, exactly. But this truck here, these trucks that we're getting, are a lot different.
Good.
Suspension's a lot better, so.
I know you have your report, I just want to throw this out as well. I did communicate with Sheriff Byerly about the possibility of adding some speed limit signs up there on Hermit through the summer season. to try to slow people down and preserve what work we're doing, as well it would be on any county road. I see it more because I live up there, but I'm sure people are driving over the speed limit on all of our county roads. But, and he said he would look into that, maybe adding some extra speed limit signs and control that a little more too. So I just think if we're going to fix the road, we got to do something to try to preserve the condition of the road for as long as we can.
Yeah, I agree. There's several roads I'd like to add some speed limits.
We talked about it, Shannon and I talked to about the Oak Creek grade, same thing. So just a few more, so remind them.
Yeah, Oak Creek grade especially, because of the curves and the hills and things like that. It's kind of a dangerous road. I don't even like working on that road.
Yeah,
Do
you get
work
somebody
on it,
flying
it's-
around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Would you mind putting those suggestions in an email and shooting it to me, and I will meet with Shannon about that and see if we can't formalize that a little bit.
Sure.
I don't know who really makes the decisions about increasing the amount of speed limit signs, but
It's us.
It's you guys,
We
and
got
he
the
pretty
road
much
plan.
leaves that up
I've
to
already
the
talked to
city
him about it,
commissioners.
so.
Yeah.
so I'd like to
And we
formalize that
just
and move
make it-
forward with it.
Same way with speed limit signs. I think he realizes that the road and bridge is fully aware of what the speed
Sure.
limit should be.
Right.
Based on the curves, hills, and homes nearby the roadway and things like that. So he kind of leaves it up to
Yeah,
us.
it's not,
That's
it's
on
your
county roads, of course, not state.
Right, county roads, yeah.
County roads.
Okay, good. Okay.
So a large rain would help you out a tremendous amount.
Frequent and large rains. Our workload is such that we can usually keep up with 50 or 60% of our demands on our road with our maintenance program, but when we don't get help from Mother Nature, that increases to about,
Sure.
I mean, it decreases actually. I mean, we can only keep up with about 40% of it. Mother Nature dictates our workload to a large degree. So, but yeah, in the winter, through the winter with us not getting very much snow, that didn't help us either. That snow actually soaks into the road and it solidifies the roads to where we don't have to do as much maintenance on them through the winter. But we did as much through the winter as what we did through the summer or more. I mean, we were hard trying to keep them decent. But it was due to the lack of snow and lack of winter moisture. So.
There's a question about chip sealing. The town of Westcliff, and I'm making the assumption Silvercliff also, town of Westcliff, I know, just authorized significant expenditure for chip sealing in the near future. And they talked about doing that in conjunction with the county. Is there a formal agreement between the two, or how does that work?
It's my understanding it was just kind of a gentleman's agreement. I don't think anything was in writing or there was a formal agreement. I know Mike Carter contacted me a couple of days ago about
Right.
that, and it was done prior to him coming on board as city manager or whatever his position was with Westcliff. And he was not sure, so I asked some questions and found out that we've done it for Westcliff in the past as well as Silvercliff, and but there wasn't any formal agreement or anything.
Doing the labor part's probably worth it. Are they buying the material?
Yeah, they're gonna buy the rock and roll, and they'd probably buy the rock from us for what we pay for it, and then. And as far as the labor, I think the road and bridge has actually charged them for the labor to do it in the past.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. I want to make sure that the county was reimbursed for the work that it does for either town. I think that's appropriate. Do you think it would make sense to have some kind of agreement between the county, an interagency agreement of something to more formalize how that's done? I'm not trying to push more bureaucracy. I'm trying to ask if it just makes sense so everybody's on the same page.
I don't think it would be a bad idea, and that way, when it comes down to the time for payment, things like that, whatever's agreed on in black and white and paper, then, I mean, there's no discrepancy.
Your memory, black and white is much better than your memory.
Well, exactly. I know that we bought some rock from A&S Construction on the east side of Pueblo out of the pit they've got down there. And when I agreed on a price with John Young, who I dealt with A&S, the agreed price was $12 a ton. When I got the invoice in the mail, it was for $16 a ton. So, anyway, I mean, that's an example. It's always
That's the kind of thing.
Well, there's two ways to look at it. You're probably right. There's nothing wrong having it in writing, but just having him come in here and say it and write and get a record of it is
Well, we had a
also.
record, that's fine too. I just so that if someone's memory is faulty, we can always go back and have something to fall
Sure.
back on. That's the only thing I'm concerned about.
well, then he can, if he's got something black and white, he can take it to the board and say,
Sure.
this is what
That's
the
what we're
proposal is.
That's what we agreed to.
And this is what,
Why don't you have him write it up?
it'd be all right with me.
Their lawyer would be happy to do it, I suspect.
Okay. Sounds good.
I suspect. Why don't I'll tell you what, if it's okay with her, I'll bring it up to Mike Carter and ask him if he feels that that's appropriate. And if he's in favor of it, we'll get kind of a draft working between us and Westcliff. And then when it comes down to it, I'll recuse myself because I don't want to act from both hats. But I mean, this is a cooperative effort, so I'm really not overly concerned about overstepping my bounds as representing both entities.
I don't know how often each of the board, I just would like to get something going so that he's got something to present to us. Because we're gonna do our chip seal latter part of July, so I mean, it's a little ways away, but it'll get here quick.
And I think he mentioned that he was gonna coordinate it with the county, so the equipment is, it's an ongoing process as opposed to dust off the equipment and use it again at a different time, you know, it's an ongoing thing. I'll get with Mike and suggest to him that maybe we ought to have a writing, and I'll get with you, and then when it comes down to approving, I'll just recuse myself just to make sure. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, perfect, thank you, appreciate that. Looking at your report, I had a question, line 231 on your budget, April's expenditures. I see we have a unusual amount there for the cities and towns of $10,497. Can you tell us what that's about?
Yes, the railroads in Custer County get paid UTEP money, and as well, so does Westcliff and Silvercliff. Well, the money funds through road and bridge,
Okay.
and then their payments are made from road and bridge budget,
So it's highway user tax fund.
basically. And whatever amount is budgeted is what they'll get paid out.
Yeah, 43,000 was their total budget, so.
Yeah, they'll get like 4 payments.
Okay.
Silvercliff is
Good
less.
time.
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you, appreciate it. Other than that, that's good.
We're about halfway through the fiscal year. How are you versus your budget? Are we in good shape?
We are in good shape. I was going over the numbers the other day, and I think on payroll we're under like for 35,000 projected to get us through to the end of the year. We're going to be under about 35,000 there. We're going to be over in a couple of categories like public utilities, for instance. But part of the reason for that is that the water occurred over to Saturday. But you know, overall, I'm seeing that we're going to have a surplus at the end of the year. I don't want it to be too much, obviously. I'll keep it as close as what I can, but we're in good shape right now.
And when is Hermit Road going to start?
Yeah, it's going to be the last week in September.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that. And we may take some heat over that. Of course, a lot of it's gonna depend on the weather between now and then, but there's a good chance, if there's any hay put up in this valley at all, that'll be right in the middle of that whole thing. So,
Oh, really? Late September?
yeah, I'm afraid, last year they put a lot of hay up in September because we had too much rain.
Right.
This year, I think people are gonna try to wait and hope that we get some rain and not, this is just a gut feeling that,
Good news is, though, Tom, I think, is he's projecting about 2 weeks. We'll see if we can make it. Could go to 3. So that's you gotta have it warm enough to do it that way, too. So.
Yeah, I'm sick going past 3 weeks. But
yeah, just normally, I think our really high traffic agricultural use down there would be in August. And I just have a sneaking suspicion that we're gonna find out this year it's gonna be in September. But that's just
Depends on whether they cut it or they pasture. But it's looking bleak right now.
Well, yeah, it is unfortunate, but I mean, it's hard to avoid
yeah.
through that. So.
you know, October, November, I'm sure the road use would be a lot lower, but I don't think we wanna wait that late to do that project, do you?
Yeah, well, that and DOLA, they have to have it started, they've got a deadline, now that could be adjusted, you know, based on our mild winters, you know, it seems like even in December, it's still pretty warm, we could probably do that project in
But we gotta
December.
get the money.
But I'd have to get with DOLA and find out if that was possible. If we
Well,
could push
I
it
think that
through.
what I'll just put words in your mouth that I got from your thoughts there as you said them, Tom, is, we just gotta be ready for making it as quick as we can and deal with public, as they come, because it could be. We'll just have to see.
Mhm.
And we got time to deal with it a little bit yet. We'll know a little more next meeting what the weather's doing.
Yeah, just never know what the weather-
No, and if it continues in this current pattern, obviously the water is not gonna be an issue in Grape Creek, it'll probably be dry.
It's gonna be easy. You'll be able to get in there and
Could
do
siphon
things
it
you
around
couldn't have
with
done
garden
otherwise.
hose.
Well, yeah, we could save some money on dewatering and things like that.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's right, so.
Yeah, you're not gonna have
but
to pump
anyway,
anything else.
just a thought that I'd had as I cross that bridge frequently.
We need to work with our farmers.
You doing any mag chloride?
Yeah, my plans are to do the entire 6.6 miles on Rosita Road and the upper end of Oak Creek Drain, 3.4 miles, 10 miles altogether.
And we've said it before, the overall plan is to keep using mag chloride and start building up a base, so it's like Fremont County, you get enough, it doesn't wear off as quick, and
Yeah, if you do it 1 year and then you don't do it for 3 or 4.
then you're up the creek, it's just wasting it.
Yeah, I mean, the residual effect goes away, whereas if you do it continually. That, and if you do it, you know, like on Rosita Road, one of the reasons I chose Rosita Road is it's almost 13 miles. Well, it's almost 13 miles from our shop when we get water from our shop to work on the road. But if we go out to the lake, which we're doing right now, you know, that adds an additional 10 miles round trip. So if it's even 5 miles one way from town out to the lake, and then an additional 12 or 13, we're 18 miles from town. So it's difficult to work on that road when our water source is 18 miles from where the road is. So I like to put the mag chloride on the roads that are furthest away from our water source where it costs so much and it takes so long.
Takes long, then it lasts long.
Yeah, it makes more sense to do that than to do the ones close to town, nearby our water source, where we can get them repaired fairly quickly, because we're close to our.
Can I ask a real stupid question? The cost of continuous maintenance on these roads, have we ever done a cost-benefit analysis in terms of what it would cost to pave the same road and how long it would take for the additional cost of paving versus the annual upkeep? Did we ever look, I mean, would it make sense to do something like that? I don't know.
We could do it, but I think I know what the outcome would be.
It would,
I asked that question, tell him how many dollars a mile.
Well, to do the initial surfacing with chip seal, it takes 2 coats per mile, and each coat is 20,000, so we're looking at 40,000 per mile.
Just for
And so,
chasing.
so like Rosita Road, you know, we're looking at almost $250,000 to do that. Just to do the additional on it, or the initial application, and then it's going to have to be done. Pardon me. Like every 8 or 9 years after that, and that single coat is going to be 20. But even then, you're still looking at $120,000. You know, after 8 or 9 years.
But you asked the right question, Jay. Matter of fact, last fall, I don't know if you sat in it, I think Tom may have part of it, I did, with the road and bridge came up with, they did a study, they showed all the road and bridge guys how to take a look at the car count on the roads, and just because a certain road might have a lot of squeaking, because there's, you know, and it might be a short one and it's easy to run out there and grade it, it might be worth having the public understand, we're not going to do that right now, we're going to go over here and we're going to fix this road, and fixing it means fix it, so it's not just blatant, it's putting mag chloride down or chip seal or something, so that you get, they did cost, there's formulas that they presented and we've talked about on what to do and how to make that cost trade. But the county's got to have the money to make the cost trade with if we're going to do it, otherwise he's doing the right thing by prioritizing the ones he can get to and get the ones that are closer to do the quick turn on, and then go spend the money on mag chloride further out because it'll last longer. You don't have to hit it
I guess my question really was, and I appreciate what you're saying, and obviously we gotta take the most used roads and keep those the best, but I guess the question I had, and as my naivety, you know, would it pay to go ahead and pave the road if we had the money? Would it be a 10-year payout, so we wouldn't have to continuously put mag chloride and all the rest of the blading and all that stuff? I mean,
I could find that out for you. I
and
know.
I'm not asking you to do a whole bunch of work. I asked this question elsewhere, and I was told it's.
And what I'm saying, with the money we've got to work with, we've got 41 miles of chip up here in the West Cliff area, and then we've got 6 miles down in the Wetmore area, 47 total. And you have to do around 6 or 7 miles a year. And based on the number of miles that we've got right now, we're able to afford to barely maintain what we've got now as far as chip with the money we've got to work with. But if we add more,
I guess the question I'm kind of thinking of, if you went ahead, what would it cost to pave Rosita Road? Okay, from beginning to end. I know it's halfway paved and then it turns into dirt later. What would that cost be versus, say, 10 years worth of maintenance? So I'm assuming once you put the paving down, the maintenance is minimal, and then again, could be a false assumption. But if you went ahead and gutted up to pave the whole Rosita Road, how long would it take, saving the mag chloride and the blading and all that stuff, to be break even on that?
I think based on the fact that you wouldn't have to go back for 8 or 9 years, and we wouldn't have to do that maintenance on that road, which is quite a ways from our water source, you know, where our equipment station and things like that. I think it would pay to do it, but that initial $250,000 is the issue.
And that's just for the chips, so you gotta prep the road.
Yeah, the prep itself is gonna take another probably $25,000. But I'd love to do that and not have to keep going out there, because it's one of those roads.
But you still have some maintenance every year on it, a little bit. But that's that's minimal.
Yeah, and probably as the age of the road increases, then you'd have to, but.
Yeah, towards the end of that 9 years, which is usually the life that you can get out of it before you have to put an additional coat on it. The first few years you don't have any kind of maintenance on it because it holds up real good. And then you're going to start developing little, you know, a few holes once in a while. You're going to have to do some shouldering and it'll break out.
That's something to think about, but as we especially as we're going into a budget cycle, we got to prioritize the money we have on the things that we know we got to do. But and there's certain monies that is obligated to road and bridge only, and we can, and rather than, and my goal is to spend every dime that the taxpayer is expecting us to spend on the roads.
I agree with that.
And we can and that's what Gary and I have been talking about, is to invest it right now in the mag chloride, because we haven't been doing it at all. And then the other one, the chip seal is not a bad idea. If you pick it, you got to pick a good, hard to maintain road and make sure we're taking it and used. And maybe the Rosita Road is the right.
I think Rosita
Or
I just tore Rosita Road out.
or Oak Creek.
That was
Oak Creek's another one.
paved and not halfway paved.
Yeah, that's
Anyway, that's good to study.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question on cattle guards. You mentioned you maintained a cattle guard here last week. What did you do? Just out of curiosity.
What do we do on it?
Yeah, what do you do?
Oh, occasionally somebody will knock a wing off of one.
That's right.
We'll have to go back out and repair that. And then
Foundation.
could give away. And then when our motor graders are maintaining these cattle guards, you know, blading up to them, they might slough some material into them.
Did we build those cattle guards? Are we responsible for them as the county?
That I couldn't tell you honestly.
So my question really is, there's a couple roads with right-of-ways that we opened back up, like down there by Carita, and people are driving back and forth, and there's people that would like to pasture their 40-acre pieces that are in it. Who's responsible to throw that cattle guard in?
I think the county has been in the past.
What's the cost of it? This is just, don't have to answer it, but we could figure out what we're going to do.
The cost of the cattle guard alone is like $5,600.
That's not too bad.
And then I know there's certain roads, I think the county has held the landowner accountable. If they wanted a cattle guard in a particular place, they made the landowner.
Right, but if it's not, if it's internally on his right-of-way, probably.
Well, this was even on the county road. I can think of two.
No, I mean crossing the county road, but
Right.
How did they just, we can talk about that later, but that's some questions I've been getting, and there's another, even I think we're gonna be faced with something on Claudia's place, I think,
Oh, as far as the county budget?
probably.
Oh, really?
They're pasturing some of that out there, and she wants to run her own horses, and we can't have a gate in there,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I think it should be left up to the landowner. I mean, if we catered to everybody that
No, we can't.
felt like they wanted a cattle guard, we'd lose half our budget putting cattle
Maybe
guards in.
maybe we maintain.
We have a precedent with that discussion when we talked about Dr. Hamilton's
Yeah, that's right.
property. So we have a precedent that we've discussed, and I think you're probably right. I mean, if we put at our expense cattle guards where people wanted it, we'd bust our budget, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I think it should be up to the landowner to fund the cattle guards that go in the county. And be selective as far as where we put them too. We don't want to put them, even though a person might have the money to fund a cattle guard, we don't want to sock them in everywhere, because it is difficult.
That would be an agreement between us and them that we have to work out. I guess it's different.
Sure.
Okay, that helped.
Thank you. I learned a lot this morning. Thank you.
Anything else, Gary?
Let's see. No, I was just gonna bring you up to speed on the roads that are gonna get chipped this year. It's gonna be, Copper Gulch, there's 3.28 miles on it, we're gonna do that. It's due to be done in the Oak Creek grade, there's 2.59 miles on it, we're gonna do that. And then Muddy's at 1.25 mile, we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna
Is that where it was before?
Yeah.
They're gonna start on Muddy, they're gonna start at Willow and go west, or start at the end of the asphalt?
We're gonna go at the end of the asphalt and just do an overlay on what we've got out there now
Okay.
on Muddy. We're not gonna do anything additional.
Nothing new, these are overlays.
No, this is just something to preserve those roads and not lose them because of the condition they're getting in. And I think that permit's probably on the schedule for next year, because it's getting, you can usually you can determine when they need to be done by the amount of time that you go back out there. And you can walk around.
We're gonna have to do some of it near the culvert that you're putting in too, as we do it, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a little bit right there.
What, if any, would be your plan on Muddy Road from Willow going west? I know there was some material put in there as an experimental thing. That road is in terrible shape. That gray crushed concrete mix, whatever that was that went in there. That's in rough shape.
I think we need to go in there with what we call grizz material. It's a cheaper material that's just been run through a grizzly, maybe build the base up a little bit and get it so that it doesn't pump water, get a barrier between where it's pumping water and the road surface itself, and then go in there with some road base and put on top, and I think we'd be in pretty good shape.
You know the material I'm talking about, that little stretch where they put in that crushed aggregate, whatever it was, several years ago.
Yeah.
That is.
Well,
Get a chance, you might look at it, see,
yeah, that's what my plans are on it. I think that would take care of some of the issues there.
Good, okay.
Thanks, Gary.
Appreciate it, thank you guys for all the work. Good to see you, sir.
We're doing what we can.
You get your time to ride your Spider-Man?
Not lately. The one time I did ride it, I got caught in a hailstorm down here east of Wetmore. I had to take refuge in the gentleman's house right along the highway. Fortunately, I had a carport to put it in. Yeah, that's important.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next on our agenda will be
Man.
the landfill and recycle report. How are you, sir? Good to see you, man. It's going okay?
Yeah.
Good. Sounds like we're moving ahead with some projects out there, huh?
Yeah. I'm trying to get a scraper and there's not one available. I've never had so much trouble getting a scraper. Usually when I try to order one that's ready, I mean, I never had a problem, but
they're just all so busy right now. Can't find them available. And they went up in price too for rent.
I wonder if there'd be a chance if a neighboring county would have one we could rent.
I don't know. I don't know. I have never really thought about it because of the maintenance part of it, probably. Scrapers, boy, if something goes wrong with them, it's pretty costly.
How many cubic yard scraper are you looking at?
23.
You need it for what, Rusty? How
To
fast?
continue that trench that we're digging.
Gonna go to the west.
Right. So last year I had it for a month and I went for 100 feet. So if we could get that much done again in a month, it'd be really helpful.
Does the dry weather help or hurt when you do scraping? I mean, the ground being as dry as it is that advantageous or is that a detriment to you?
It wouldn't be a big problem. You cut through that first little layer of hard crusted material and then it goes really good after that.
So who'd you check with? Just the boys and Pueblo?
Caterpillar.
You don't know.
They're the only ones that have that kind of a scrape.
Do they reach up into Denver?
Yeah, last year it came from Albuquerque.
Yeah.
So
Are they looking?
They look in all the adjoining states. They look all around. It'll come up, but I just wanted it, now instead of later.
Bless you.
Scraper stockpile it to the south, or?
Yeah, so what we do is strip the topsoil and stockpile it to reuse to put on the caps and then reseed it. And then the clay, we have to use that material to cap these pits with, which takes 4 feet of clay to cap them. And so I have to separate that. And then all the pit run, we just stockpile it wherever we got space. Last year we went through the fence on the side of Road and Bridge over there and stockpiled a bunch over there, which is close to our pits, and so we can retrieve it very easily.
So clay, are you gonna put it around and cap as you go, or are you gonna
That's what
stockpile
I
it
used
and
to
cap
do.
later?
And it worked so great because I'd just be digging a trench and then I'd go around and dump it right on the pit that we're capping and just keep going around, and it really worked well. But now we have to get the big rocks out of it. So that's why we have to put it all through the grizzly. Slowed everything down, and it's like, 17,000 yards, 4 yards at a time with a loader bucket.
Pretty slow.
Yeah, it's pretty slow. And they gave us 18 months to cap these pits when they're closed. And so I wrote a letter to them telling us we can't do this in 18 months. It's impossible. And so we took it out to 5 years.
I know I've mentioned this before, and I keep coming back to this thought process. Certainly don't have the insight into all of it. No chance of getting a D9 or a D10 in here and blowing everything out to the west. It's just stockpiling it. Of course, separating the clay and the pit run.
Yeah, you could do it. You'd still have to move the
Clay.
topsoil, and then the clay. You'd still have to get the loader over there to stockpile it somewhere out of the way. And then that pit run, you'd have to move it too, eventually, because it'll be in your way
As you go
as
west.
I go west.
How much further west?
We're about a
Well,
quarter.
that's-
See, those pits are a quarter mile long, and so we did 400 feet last year. This year, hopefully 400 more. So, but that's every day, all day on the scraper to get.
That's a pretty good price on this scraper too.
Yeah, I was getting it for 18, and then I had the extra 2,000 for shipping. That's why I had 20,000 in the budget. But Mike Lewis, our salesman at Caterpillar, retired. And he's the one that was giving us the good
Bummer.
deal for years, and so things changed a little bit. And they actually want 24,000 for them, but they say, well, we'll give it to you for 20,700.
Great God.
Okay.
Yeah, well, gotta do what we gotta do, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's
Just a matter of waiting now until we can get a crack at one, huh?
part of the deal.
And you had this budgeted all along.
Right. And we got that trench surveyed too, that 400 feet that I dug last year. And so then you send that survey to the engineers, and the engineers put their stamp on it because if they think it's okay. And then they send that back to me, and then I, with a cover letter, send it to CDPHE so they can approve it, so we can start putting trash in there someday, in the very near future.
Good.
So it's all a long process. You have to go through so many channels for just about everything. That's why it's so.
Silver Cliff had more tires than West Cliff.
I saw that. It bothered me.
Yeah, I never, I budget for maybe 100 tires for cleanup day.
Twice.
That one load Sonny had looked like it had more than 100 on it. That was a huge
A lot of
load.
tires.
Well, Sonny turned in his tires.
I think he was picking them up for
Yeah,
around.
He volunteered.
Really? Good.
Yeah, I've been getting some requests about this very subject, so we're gonna talk about that. Go ahead, Jay.
I was gonna ask, you say that the landfill pays for the tire disposal, reimbursed by the towns, but the money doesn't come back to landfill, where does it just go to the general fund then?
Yeah,
That doesn't
they'll
really
send
seem
me,
appropriate.
the towns will send me a check for the tires that they brought out. And then I just take those checks to the treasurer and back to county general and goes. So. Yeah, we don't gain any extra money during the year. What you have budgeted is what you have, and you're not gonna gain
But
any.
your disposal of the tires, you send them to somewhere else, right? Pay
Yeah,
for
some
that?
people, Interwest Tire come up and they,
Take them
recycle.
for the tires.
They charge you for that?
No, we pay them.
That's what I mean?
Yeah, we pay them for that.
So it would seem appropriate out of your budget that the money that you pay to have them disposed of properly and the towns pay you, it'll go back to your
Is that what
budget,
you
not to
charge
the
them for?
general.
Rusty, what you charge them? You charge them?
I've thought
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, we charge the towns, we charge them what we charge everybody.
Enough to
$4.
enough to cover the cost of paying the guy to take them.
Yeah, see, we charge, just like everybody else, we charge everybody $4 for a passenger tire.
And that covers our cost, to pay somebody to get them.
Right.
So we are getting that paid for.
Right, yeah.
So,
Yeah, it
works
actually
out,
kind of,
it just stretched my tire
Right.
budget
So
when I
that's what I'm
had it
talking
in there
about.
because I didn't realize there was gonna be so many tires. So I think that people in the county are probably bringing them in.
sure, they know, here's our chance, man. I get what you're saying, Jay, and I thought the same thing. Now, if we approve your landfill budget and it has money in there for tire disposal, it's almost like a pass-through eventually. But if you take an extra hit above and beyond what you budgeted
That's what we're talking
for,
about. He budgeted for 100
Right.
and he basically 200 got recycled.
Yeah.
It shouldn't impact negatively his budget
Right.
because we agreed for the county to
right,
take
but it
those
won't
tires.
because he's charging the towns for those tires. So you're getting that income.
he's getting it back, but it's going into the general fund,
Right.
Mr. Jay.
Right.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, yeah, I say he's getting it, the county's getting it,
County's
so.
getting
And he's getting it back, and then
Yeah.
But I'd rather you have a little surplus at the end of the year in case you needed something. That's what I'm concerned
But
about.
see, that's something that we need to talk about in the budget meetings we're gonna have, because in fact, we should be looking at everybody's lines and then making sure we pass things to the right priority as the
Absolutely.
year goes by.
That is
So as
absolutely
long as it's there, and if he did come up short, that's what we would do next month, if, for example, he
correct.
needed
And I'd
it, we
love
would
us
just
to
go
come
take
and
it.
say, look, I have excess in my budget, which this would add to.
Sure.
And here's what I'd like to do with it, fix something that's been long-standing broken or whatever. I mean, you tell us.
Or return it back to general fund, or,
The worst thing that can
Certainly a
happen,
possibility.
in my
Slim,
experience, is you have a line item and one guy's really saving money and he's got a big surplus. When we're hearing this guy sucking wind and trying to do things and in a vacuum, that's what our job is, to make sure we make the trades early enough so that guy's not doing something irresponsible in his shortfall.
And I agree, and you also said earlier, and I agree with this statement completely, Road and Bridge needs to spend every penny they have. The public is paying
And
the
they're
tax
specifically
just
for that.
Road and Bridge. That needs to go back into Road and Bridge.
Right.
You know, so I hope they come out with pretty close to zero
That's
at the
what
end
we're,
of the
that's
year.
what we're gonna do.
But I understand if you had, let's say you had a $15,000 surplus and you came to us and said, look, I need to upgrade or whatever, you know, instead of being in the general fund and ask us to transfer general fund back to landfill, I know it'd be more palatable to me if you said, I have excess funds, I'd like to use it for something in the landfill. So it just kind of makes sense to me that keeping the revenues and the expenses in the same entity makes sense to me.
Right, if you can, and then, but if there's a crisis in another one,
Whole different.
the excess goes right
Yeah.
over.
Well, that's probably a
Thank you, Russ.
conversation that's needed, not maybe appropriate for this report from landfill, but something we definitely gonna have to, talk about. So,
Good discussion.
Town of Silver Cliff has requested that we would consider reducing the price that we charge them for their tires, particularly this year because
They had
of
so
the
many.
number of tires.
Well, this is what I told the town of Silver Cliff when I presented them with our bill, is that they could get Intrawest tires to come, if they just stored all their tires at their shop or somewhere where they have one space. If they just got all those tires and stored them there and called Intrawest Tire to come up and get them, they would come up and get them, and it'd be a heck of a lot cheaper for them.
Why is that? Don't we pay the same thing?
We charge more, Interwest would come up.
What's your pass-through charge? Well, are your labor to handle them, or what? What is it?
Yeah, we have to deal with them if there's dirt in them. We try to knock the dirt out because they don't like dirt in them because it messes up their machines and so on.
So you pass that into Silver Cliff and let them beat their tires?
Just if they're having a cleanup day, their tires that they collect in their town, they could store them in their town, they could call Intrawest to come up and pick up their tires. They would come up and get them, and it'd be a heck of a lot cheaper. Then we're out of it all completely. Then all they're doing is just bringing out their trash, and we're not charging them for it, and all this gold.
Sure.
Yeah, and I voiced this concern from day one about these town cleanup days. I get it, that it's a valuable thing, but I also think we're opening ourselves up for that thing of transporting tires from all over the county because they're expensive to get rid of.
Yep.
Why not come in the night before and drop 6 or 8 tires off on a corner of the street and be done with it? And I think that's probably why we've seen this
We're being
big
used,
spike.
there's no doubt about it.
So I would guess maybe in the long run, I agree with what you're saying, that we probably need to stick where we're at, let the towns deal with these tires. If they want to offer tires, then
Yeah,
gonna bring them
And
to
you're
the
being
landfill.
reasonable, you're not
Yeah,
gouging them.
Right, it'd just be a lot cheaper for them to do it, we're being a middleman, basically.
Right.
For the whole
Paying for your
process.
labor to handle them.
Yeah, so,
When they could actually do it themselves and be done.
Well, yeah, they could get some volunteers to do that and do it for nothing.
okay, well, I will communicate.
It's not that many tires.
This
It would take 2 or 3
conversation
guys to
with-
go out and do it. If it's that many for you, but I'm saying they could get some volunteers to handle it. Take some money.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the general consensus is we're not gonna discount the cost of the tire,
What was the total bill, just out of curiosity? For Silver Cliff, what are they squeezing?
roughly
out?
200 times 4, $800.
Yeah, there you
Is that
go.
what it is?
Yeah, plus mattresses, so we charge $5 for mattresses.
You have a bunch of mattresses.
Yeah, quite a few.
How much is Silver?
So their bill was
You ought to be
probably,
better.
Didn't say, just wanted to know if we could consider giving them a break.
That's just, I would give them a $50 break in much.
I mean, honestly,
That isn't much.
you know, I would have a problem if the general fund, since we have this surplus that's coming back, if the general fund allocated, say, $200 towards Silver Cliff and reduced, we would supplement their expense by $200 out of the general fund, just to help them out. I know they don't have a ton of money over there,
You might wanna talk to Donna about
Thank you.
surplus.
Thank you,
And then,
thank you. I agree with
and
that.
then my feeling is we do it for Silver Cliff on a percentage basis, we're obligated to do that on West Cliff.
I don't think so.
But West Cliff hadn't come to me and asked me for
West Cliff
that, but.
has lots of money, and Silver Cliff is a little bit more difficult, they only have the grocery store and stuff
You
like
could
that.
say we'll consider.
What's our cost? Just have those tires picked up.
They're raising the rates because everything's going up.
Sure.
But the last time that they picked them up, they were $1.50 for a passenger tire.
Where the majority of
Most
these
landfills
tires,
around the state charge $5 and up.
That's an ongoing question we've had over the years is what's our fee versus our competitor. It's a whole different animal, I'm not trying to bring that up, it's just something to think about.
I don't know, that seems like not a lot of money, for Silver Cliff to be asking for, I don't know what kind of break they think will be, that's pretty tight.
you've already
We did.
submitted your invoice to Silver Cliff and West Cliff.
Yeah. I did.
Have they paid it?
No.
So they didn't tell Silver Cliff in the middle of the night when no one's looking on cleanup day, they didn't run their tires over the West Cliff.
That's all right.
No, that's about it. All right, now, but take that out of the record, it was a joke.
Well, I just told Buck that I would bring it up at our meeting for discussion if we want to, if the chair would entertain a motion, if so desired, that we could resubmit an invoice to West Cliff at a lower amount. If that, or to Silver Cliff, thank you. If that's what you want to do, I just told him that I would bring it up, so.
I think it's a nominal amount. I think there is a good solution, the one you suggested to him for the future. I mean, we're not talking about enough money where if
That's the problem, and
yeah,
to
let's
me,
just,
it's not.
I would say, let's not open this can of worms. This is my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe we ride this situation this year.
We'll just help them
make
with
this-
some good advice to do it
make this
themselves.
Suggestion to them for next year, and
Yeah, because I'd like to help them out too, any way we can. I'm not against trying to help the towns out.
well, we've taken in all their trash for free,
Right.
correct? So
Right.
it's not like we're not helping out.
Right.
Pretty big dough.
I just think there was an increased spike in the number of tires that raised the
Yeah,
alarm.
people around the county are starting to get it figured out, and
You know, wisen up. I
You
thought
could
about
do
it.
an in-kind kind of thing, we could give them an extra, bring out some more trash instead of paying for it. Take another load of
I
trash.
don't think we should do anything.
I think we're good the way it is.
Anything else, sir? Looks like we're getting ready for another cardboard shipment, huh?
yeah, we do, we have plenty of cardboard. Dennis is taking a little vacation, so we won't ship any until he gets back.
Right.
We're actually up, about $5,000 in May, so a lot from the year before.
Mhm.
Good,
It's getting busy around here,
yeah. Growing pains,
right? Going up the landfill.
that's why we gotta keep hammering away on this expansion, huh?
Yes,
We're
sir.
just gonna have to find the money to do that somewhere, that's all there is to it. The good thing is, we probably, I don't know that we'll have to expend those dollars before the end of this year.
Right.
Maybe next year, which gives us a chance to
Yes.
massage that budget a little bit.
Yeah, we didn't do that, and then we need to be socking it away like we thought we might be doing, for the new pits back in 10 years from now. Start saving the bag costs, the surplus. We talk about that later.
So when do you do that if you changed it to where the landfill had a fund balance?
We can talk
That
about
we're gonna-
would
we've got a-
happen at budget time?
Yeah, we got
Talking
a
about
budget
budget.
meeting scheduled at the end of the month
Oh,
of June with the auditors. We're gonna talk about that very thing. And
Try to
try
get
to
a process.
lay in a plan.
yeah, because Sam DiNardo's talked about it before. too.
Yeah, and that's who we're gonna meet with for a budget meeting, so. We will put that on the agenda, and it'll be a discussion countywide, but certainly
Right.
landfill is near the top of that list to say, we need to do something about these funds, that's all there is to it.
Okay.
Tires being a great example,
Mhm.
that, for lack of a better term, I call it a standalone budget. You've got your budget. If you buy and sell out of your budget, that money stays in that budget. It doesn't get lost in the general fund. How else are we ever gonna create a fund balance to cover the cost of the expansion of the landfill, permitting, or whatever else? So those are the kind of conversations we're gonna have with that.
Yeah, these guys at the landfill spend a lot of time cleaning aluminum, getting all the metal out of it, so it's clean because you get a heck of a lot better price for it. So
To
they
make
spend
some
a
money
lot of
doing
time
that.
doing that, to get the better price and the more money for it, so it'd be great to have that.
You're adequately staffed out there, I'm assuming.
For now, yeah, I think we're probably okay. Everything is just a slow process, moving material
Yeah.
the way we have to do it. And when they come out to drill those wells, I thought we were gonna be inspected by now, but they haven't came out. I think they're pretty happy with us. But when they come out to drill those wells, I'm sure Jill will be there, our permitting person. And I'm gonna have a long talk with her when she's out there about this grizz and all this material, getting those rocks out. Because I think if they don't find anything, any contamination in their wells,
Yeah, they
what's
don't-
the purpose of getting the
Why-
rocks out?
Why do you
of
get the
there?
rocks out? You don't need to.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you keep us posted, man, I just
we
think
gotta speed things up.
that, I could be overstating, but I think every time those people come out, if they see some commissioners out there as well, I just got a sense from those people that they appreciated that. If you'll
Oh,
let us
sure
know,
they do.
man, we'll come out and just be there. We don't
Yeah.
have to be an integral part of the process, but just to let them know that you're not out there fighting the war by yourself, and that they know we care as commissioners and.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just keep us posted, say, hey, these guys are coming out next Thursday, can you be here? We'll be there, no problem.
Not to slow you, are we making any methane? They finding anything out there?
Yeah, the first quarter of the year, or actually, I think it was December when I was out, never ever detected any methane. And so I was on the north side of the pits at our gas probe over there. The one by the office was fine, it was clear. So I go to the other one over on the west, or the north side of the pits, and stuck my probe down in there, and my gas detector went ding, 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 ding,
Really?
ding,
So-
ding, ding. Well,
Which one is that? Is that an old pit?
no.
How long has it been around?
The gas probe?
No, the trench you tested.
It's it's close to Rosita Road.
Really?
So it's on the north side of all the pits,
Where was the first one put in?
south.
So it's not making anything?
We don't know because there's only a gas probe on the north side and up by the buildings, because methane goes sideways.
Yeah. Just asking because
And
somebody
so-
up there in the meeting said they're making tons of money off their methane.
Yeah, and I detected it. First time. It scared me, so I felt.
I don't think we're gonna have a big enough landfill to make much natural gas.
It was 5.6% LEL, so
Just
it's there now, finally. I knew it was gonna happen sometime, just didn't know when, so I called the state and told them, because that's part of our deal, we need to let them know. And, the guy that runs CDPH, he used to be our inspector. And so I was talking to him, he says, well, at least we know your gas detector is calibrated. So he wasn't too concerned about it, but this last quarter when I did it, it went down to 3.3 or something. So it went down instead of up, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But
Good.
yeah,
Anything else, sir?
as long as we don't detect it up by the offices,
Yeah.
I think we're okay.
Good. All right,
Thanks,
thank
Rusty.
you.
Thanks, Terry. Okay, Jay.
Appreciate it.
Tom.
See you later.
Betcha. See you, Clint. You bet.
Take care, everybody, boys. Okay, public health. 10 o'clock.
I have a very
And we
important-
started out way ahead of time. I'd like to introduce you to Mrs. Livengood.
I was gonna ask that question.
Well, that's right.
Are you changing
Congratulations.
the
Want me
last
to
name?
use in the article?
Got a big,
No
kick.
hyphenated
No
or anything,
hyphenated.
huh?
This is a good old country girl. Ain't no hyphenated in the world we live in, is
Before it
there?
gets cold back.
Yeah, I saw some of your communications, and
Yeah.
I actually showed one of your emails to Cindy. She got a big kick out of that. So, yeah, congratulations. Okay, let's see here.
So I have a couple of new programs we just started that I want to tell you about. Reach Out and Read is a program that we started through the state that is, we give a book to every kid 5 and under that we give vaccines to. And it's actually a pretty sweet little deal because we can kind of assess interaction between the parents and the kids. Like, if we have a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old kid that doesn't know what the heck to do with the book, like, that's problematic, right? So that's pretty cool. And it's just it's free books we get from this Reach Out and Read program.
Cool.
So, started that. I just got the books this week, so I haven't really had a chance to get any out yet, but, and Beth and Carmelie are all trained up to do that too. So cool. The other thing is that it's called the Baby Box, so I wanna call it Baby in a Box, but it literally is a big cardboard box with a little mattress in it, and it's for safe sleep spaces for kids so that people aren't like sleeping on the couch with their babies and rolling over and
It's
smothering them.
Oh, I see. You put the baby in the box.
You literally put the baby in
So
the
you
box.
don't roll over on it.
Yeah.
That's probably makes very good sense.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
poke holes in the box then for air?
It doesn't have a lid on it, so
Not like
that's
puppies.
good,
Yeah, a
but
little
good
warm
thought.
bottle.
Thank you.
Clint is very compassionate.
Yeah, I can tell it is.
Very cool.
So that's neat, and it also, like, in order to get, and so in the box also comes a whole bunch of like hygiene items and things like that for babies, and the parents have to actually go through a little training. It's like 10 or 15 minutes in order to get the box, but we've actually already given out 2 of them. It's also a program granted by the CDPHE of Colorado.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
How do we get the word out to people that may need that or may not?
So we're putting stuff in the newspaper. I've done stuff on Facebook. You know, unfortunately, that seems like the winner chicken dinner.
Yeah, I understand. Does the clinic help promote these things? Yeah, I don't have a copy either.
Yeah, did you send us anything? Because I've been looking for documentation.
I
I
did
did
it a while
I
back.
thought I did. I sent it out kind of early because I wasn't in the
Email.
office last
You
week.
have something going on in your life,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I didn't find it either.
I may not
That's
have gone
okay,
back
unless
far.
It was more than a week ago, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was like not last week, but the week before.
Maybe that's why I didn't see it.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you, I was just struggling
What
to
was
find
the
it.
address
And
it
I
came
thought,
from?
well,
Fine.
I got your hazard meeting emails.
It would have been
From who?
from Melissa Magnuson, so because it was the week before.
Do you send it directly to them and not Brenda?
I sent it to everybody.
Can you send one to me?
I sure can, yeah.
I'm looking for it. Normally when I get them, I just put them right in
One
my
on the
board
24th of
packet.
May.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
The what?
24th of May. I don't know if it has that. Yep.
It's my fault for not getting it.
Well, I should have looked too,
I
and
should
I
have
just,
looked.
No worries, and I can send it again. I have it on my. Oh, here, yeah, the
You got it on
24th,
24th.
the May 2018
Oh, yeah.
BOCC report.
I must have filed it. So I am looking.
There it is. May 2008. I got it now. Sorry, my fault for not finding it, not yours.
Well, I'm not seeing
Always
it
look
in mine.
for it under Brenda's.
Yeah, you usually
That's what I
send it
did.
to me and I
I probably didn't look that far back. I have it.
Okay, I can send it.
No, you don't need to
Do
send
you
it.
want me to forward it to you? What do you want?
I'm looking here, April 2018.
You
Yeah, mine is dated
I'll
25th.
send it to you.
I've got it, I believe,
Well, you
if I'm
do.
looking through the right ones.
For childhood
It's,
Am I-
immunizations 22.
Am I on that email? Because I'm not seeing it in my
It's a May one.
inbox,
Yeah.
or my deleted, or
Yeah.
anything.
I'll
That's
send it.
probably why it wasn't in the packet.
I don't think I did put you on there, Brenda, I'm sorry. I'll do it right now though, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, just, usually I resend it with everything else. if
Usually I do send it to you, so I don't know what happened, sorry.
Yeah.
Got other things on
Coming to you.
Well, it's not
And
that easy,
nothing
like
going on
stinking
in your
leg
life.
get in the way of.
getting way up business.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So we did not get the Shingrix vaccine yet. That's the new shingles vaccine. They told us that it, like the suppliers, which is GSK, said that it would be here in May. Now they're telling us July. So
How are you offering?
we
this
have
to
a
everybody?
growing list of people
People
that are
signing
on
up.
Yeah.
How do they know?
They see it on the news. GSK is the manufacturer, and they're putting it out there, of course.
No, I'm asking how do our people
How do
know
we
they're
know?
gonna come to you?
That's it. I haven't really. I kind of hate to really advertise it until we actually
They
have
got
it, because. So. Lots of conferences, blah blah blah.
That's it. Pull on.
I just sent it again to you.
It's receiving it right now, thanks.
I did get invited, which I think is like a little double-edged sword here, to go to Alabama in July
Yeah.
for a week.
And melt.
I'm like, there better not be a tornado because I'm gonna need air conditioning. But it's a FEMA thing, for the South Region Healthcare Coalition. It's a 3-day course to, kind of develop trainings and preparedness for emergencies. So, our region got 3 scholarships, and I was chosen as one of those recipients to go to Alabama. So, I can't believe good old Westcliff in July to go to Alabama. I know. Let's see. Carmelene and Beth just went to a shared risk and protective factors conference in Keystone, and that was really good. They came back with some good stuff that we'll put some programs together for.
So does this area have a Lyme disease issue?
Mm-hmm.
It does. So we do have those ticks that.
We do have, there is Lyme disease in Custer County. We've had 2 people over the course of
Nasty
20
awareness,
years.
isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. So, and we've put some information out in the paper, on Facebook, sent information to all the camps about like tick prevention and signs to look for Lyme disease, et cetera, several things.
So there's a huge, change subject slightly, there's a huge uproar about the prairie dogs,
Mm-hmm.
which we have every single year.
Mm-hmm.
They carry, the concept is they carry disease, and disease can be spread to animals and to people. Do you see a significant threat of the prairie dogs to our population here? I mean, there's questions of eradicating.
So, no, I don't.
Okay.
We would have to have an actual case of hantavirus, which is what they carry is hantavirus. There was a case like 4 years ago, I think, in Custer County in the south end of the valley. If it comes up again, it's not like it was in the 90s when it like kills hundreds of people and animals and everything. We have treatments for it. Same thing. They just need to report it to me, public health, and but there hasn't been an issue. So yeah, there's a lot of prairie dogs.
I know they're horrible for the domesticated, the cows and the horses stepping in the holes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just terrible.
That's the worst thing is the holes that it creates in people's pastures. Not to mention it kills all the grass that they're in. So.
Okay, but to people, it's not at this point a significant. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Certainly
Talk
something
to
to
us
be
about-
aware of. But,
Obviously.
yeah.
Can you talk to us about the post office bank? Were you involved, and to what extent, and how'd that go?
So yes, I was involved. Went up there, took our Ebola suits, which I probably shouldn't call them Ebola suits because it wasn't Ebola, but but it's our our personal protective equipment, and we were able to supply that to the folks that were in the bank and the post office. Hazmat, the hazmat team that came from the state patrol said that everything was handled exactly perfectly to protocol.
Congratulations.
So thank you. Yeah, and it wasn't. I mean, the sheriff's department was on the wall with that. Emergency management with Cindy. It was just a good team effort.
Good.
Countywide.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and of course you made note in your report about the approval for us using those suits for other things rather than specifically Ebola outbreaks. Maybe we just call them hazmat suits.
Yeah,
or
let's
whatever
do that.
from now on, but, that was nice. Thank you for pursuing that. That
Yeah.
saved us probably $1,000 or more.
At least, yeah.
So that was great.
Yeah.
And just appreciate your work. And
Thank you. Yeah, just keep on keeping on. We had one environmental health issue with Campy, Campylobacter case here this month. Debatable whether it even came from Custer County or not. It was tested in Texas, so yeah, kind of a non-issue.
good.
Sounds good.
We're ready.
All right. Anything else, Commissioners?
No good.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Sorry
Good
I
job.
did not get
I
your.
just learned how to spell badges.
I know. Well, now you don't have to worry about it.
That's all right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now it'll be living good instead of
Yeah.
living good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.
See ya.
Thanks.
Can we take a 5 minutes?
Yes, let's do. We'll be in recess for 5 minutes. Since we got a break in visitation.
Yeah.
Stafford? You doing okay there? Kiddo? Good. Meeting will come back to order. Next item of business, staff report from BSO. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
What fell duty?
Oh, I know. What, twice one day?
Yeah.
How you doing? All right. I just got back on Tuesday, so I didn't get a chance to put on the outline. You see, it's pretty short. Pretty short.
Shorter the better, Tim.
Yeah. Like, I know. And here's the original report. Thank you. And then these. Next start here. Alright, so here we are. May was a crazy month. We start with the state report, this standard report, 44 phone calls, 33 office visits. Due to having 2 surgeries in 1 month, the office was open only about 10 days this month, so that accounts for a low amount of numbers as far as that goes. So, other than that, this is pretty much a standard monthly report. Nothing really exciting in there. Like I said, that's always has to be in by the 15th of the month, so every 6 months the county gets a check from the state, so that's the purpose of that. Okay. Any questions on the report? If there's ever anything exciting, I'll definitely highlight it for you, but it's mainly forms, what forms were submitted for what, and the claims, and other different things that go to the VA. That's a primary issue. Okay.
Let's deal with this before we move on.
Okay.
I would move that we accept month of May's report from VSO.
I'll second.
Move to seconded to approve the April report for the VSO, Custer County. May, did I say April?
May.
May. Thank you, ma'am. Discussion, gentlemen?
Looks good.
Comments from the public? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Taking a drink. It was unanimous, Kelly.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Remind us who John
Griego.
John Rigo. Yeah.
They probably remember.
Let's talk about John
I'm
real
sorry.
quick. That's
I didn't
okay.
mean to jump ahead.
No, that's okay. Since you brought up, John's great. I know Chairman had a chance to be there. John has been a phenomenal asset to this county from Senator Bennett's office. Matter of fact, while he's there, he did, after the meeting, at least 2 or 3 vets and who initiated congressional initiatives on your behalf, on things that we've been, with the VA, and he's just always accessible to this county, like no one else. Nothing official, but he is looking at some career. He's only 26 years old, sharp as a tack. He has got unlimited potential. So, but he's just been a friend of this county since I've been doing this job, and has helped me numerous times. And that's how I ended up being on the panel. It's for the Academy nominations last year, and, which was a great experience. Also, along with Charles Bowe, we were in the same panel, so that was fun. But it went great. Turnout was, 10 to 15 is always kind of push for these type of events. But John does a tour. He goes to county this time of year, does these meetings, try to get a feel of what's going on and what's, what county we need help with, and especially with the VA and inquiries and so forth. And he's always available to come back. Due to my situation with my health and some things, we usually try to do 2 of these a year. So he'll continue. So I'm here in fall still. We'll do another one in the fall. Okay. So the second item, just quick health data on me. Last month, I did a report right before I had the hernia repaired, and then we turned right around and got in contact with CU. And initial contact with CU was like first consult was going to be September. And so anyways, long story short, took a week and a half. They triaged my records. The surgeon told the nurse, get it in here this month. And so the tumor was removed a week ago. So I had the 2 surgeries out of the way, and the recovery's going good. It was best case scenario. I was still waiting on a pathology report for a fish report. But as far as the process, they went through a scope, didn't have to cut. So
Good.
it was the best case scenario. So that's behind this, and now I can move forward and should have no major medical coming up. My wife made me promise, so.
So you're back on
Full time, yeah.
Quick recovery, good job.
Yeah, well, but they were ever going through a scope, they went into a scope. So, I just have about 6 to 8 weeks of be careful what you eat, which I'm finding out. I ate too long, it just feels like something punching in the gut, because I've got ulcer about that big right now. Okay, it'll heal. It's not too, by the time you die, you figure out it'll be healed, so it's good. So anyways, that's where we're at on that. Originally I was scheduled to do 2 conferences. April was the state conference, and due to my dad's passing, I had to cancel that. And then the national conference, due to the surgery, all of a sudden, they got me in on the 29th. I had to cancel that one. Both conference fees are, I got confirmed this week, are being refunded, which will go to the general fund, I think, but they are refunding both funds. Like I said, with my situation being a house up for sale, I've got 3 other options, and we'll see what happens. If it looks like I'm going to still be here going into the new year, I've got to go get my 16 hours of CL credit. So there are 3 state conferences where the National Association is doing training that'll meet that requirement. One's in August, one's in September, one's in October. So if we start getting closer to the fall and then things slow up, then I'll probably go either the September or the October one. Okay. Just want to let you know that. The last thing on my list, Roger Watkins, who the chairman got to meet. I don't think you guys get a chance to talk to him. Okay. Roger is something that I've recommended. I've talked to several times, hobby quite a bit. And when time comes, I know I am leaving. Roger is interested in doing, say, 2 days a week, maybe 2 10-hour days or something. He is a fully accredited VSO, and he is an accredited agent also with the VA.
Where
He
is he?
lives in Rye. He lives in Rye, and so he loves it up here. He loves driving back and forth. He's currently working on his 53 Chevy that he's restoring.
Is he working on his VSO?
No. He was technically he was he was the social director for the VA home in Walsenburg for quite a few years.
But he's not now.
He's not
So I
now.
kind of misunderstood that.
So he is under contract with them like for 1 day or 1/2 day a week. So he was on the Walsenburg to help with the senior veterans down there. But this is I can't emphasize enough the fact that he's available, being interim. I don't think he doesn't think he's interested in applying for the full time. But my recommendation would be, once I know when I'm leaving, to bring him on 2 weeks before, just so that be like a handoff and transition some of the records and the cases and so forth. And he would be more than happy to still continue after you do hire someone. Depending upon that person's background and so forth, and they turned out to be a real green newbie, he'd be more than happy to do for 2 or 3 months. He'd come up a couple days a week and help train and get that person up to speed. Okay. So it's just something I just want to put out there, something to think about. I've invited Roger to come be here next month when I do this presentation, so you can meet him, and he'd be more than happy to be here and available to meet with y'all and so forth, just to get that done. He would also be, and I talked with Donna about this, and she brought up the idea that he'd be interested in being part of the interview process, which might be a great idea also to have him go. Great guy, Vietnam vet, been doing this a lot longer than I have. He's been a great source for me, especially my first year, because I was learning a lot. He was just a tremendous source.
And we are required by state statute to provide a VSO office.
Yes, there is also. The other advantage, and here's the other advantage of bringing him on right away as I transition. If no one's sitting in the chair, then there's no funding for that money to come from the state. The funding is, so if he's 20 hours a week, that's still part-time, so it would drop in half for those months, but still half of something is better than
Keeps the pump prime.
keeps the pump prime, and you keep the reports flowing and that kind of thing. And it gives the county an opportunity to look at, like I said, expanding your search and maybe drawing from a bigger applicant pool type of thing. So, the announcement will go out through the statewide. There may be an already accredited ESO sitting in one of the rural counties that will not go full-time, who would love to be full-time. So you might be able to draw someone that's at least state certified, if not be accredited. So that may give time for the announcement to go out there a little longer and get more activity on that. That's all I've got. Any questions for me?
I'm really quick.
No, I like your idea of inviting Roger to the next meeting.
Yep, they'd say you'd be more than happy to come, so it's, as long as it's not, and Brian told me it'd be Thursday. You guys have something going on that weekend, so, it's Tuesdays when he's gotta go to Washington, so he'll be there Tuesdays. Okay?
Excellent.
All
Thank
right.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good afternoon.
See you later.
All right, I'll be here. Feeling better.
Yeah, that's good. That's huge.
Stay away from, doctor says stay away from spicy stuff, which is okay. Let's see.
Okay.
See ya.
Okay.
Thanks,
What's
Tim.
next?
Laura's on her way.
Laura, yeah.
And have you spoken with Shannon upstairs?
No,
I
no.
don't even know if she's here today. I assume she is, but I didn't ever get up there, so.
We're waiting. You are aware that the individual we were talking about is back in the Polky, right?
No, I did not.
They were arrested.
Bill,
For violating.
I don't think I got a copy in your packet of her stuff. Do you need it?
Good morning.
Yeah, you got it.
How are you?
Oh, yeah.
Department of
Give her
Human
the-
Services,
Good morning.
of Humane Services. How are you?
Well, that too. Hey, how are you guys today?
Good. Well,
Oh, good.
Unless I got it in the.
I got one thing. Maybe I didn't.
I have it in the wrong day because I switched her and Donna, so
that's
that.
I think you're gonna win the prize for having the longest MOU on.
Oh, on the, in the whole
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
But you got that, and they finally got it worked out,
Good.
and holy moly, could we get it signed.
I
you know?
tried to read it, I did read it, I didn't
Oh,
understand 2/3 of it, I have no idea what some of these acronyms are.
But
WPR being one of them.
Oh, I don't know. You know,
Oh,
and,
work participation rate.
yeah, work participation rate and all of that good stuff.
Mm,
But, yes, they have worked on this forever. And my thought on this is, they have looked at it, they took it to state board. I mean, it has gone on forever. And then I like that this says counties have 60 days to,
yeah.
and I didn't even get this until May 9th. I thought that was marvelous. So,
Yeah.
but anyhow, that's okay, you guys are meeting, so.
So we need to act on this, or?
Yes, we need to have it signed. And I actually have it, because then I gotta mail it to them. Where is the last page? So the chairman would need to sign it,
Mhm.
and then the county clerk to the board.
Mhm.
She's a little feisty today.
What's
What's going on?
Well,
with
it's-
her?
Election
It's
season.
Thursday or?
No, she's running for office, she just gets this way.
Are you really? Wow, well, I'm gonna tell you who I'm not gonna vote for. No.
I get paid.
be sucking up.
So they really want this back by June 30.
They do.
They
They really want it back by June 30th. It took them 40 years to get it to us, but we have to have it back by June 30th, yeah.
And the
Yeah.
cover letter,
Yeah.
the cover letter makes it very clear, just sign it, don't.
Pretty much,
that's
it
right.
does, just sign it.
Yeah.
They've looked
Trust
at it
us.
100 times, and this is what they've come up with, and it's gonna be great, so just sign it.
We're not gonna
This
give
is
you
a
your
heck
60
of an
days.
MOU.
Oh, and no, they're gonna give you 60 days. They say that, they're not gonna give that to you. I'm
Right.
like,
You're
So is
comfortable
there
with
anything
it?
different
Yes.
on this one than what the other one was? Is
Oh,
this
well-
always the same thing?
well, no, this is the new and improved, because they took out some of the stuff where it was making the counties maybe have to do stuff, and so they took that all out, and now, you know, the counties will not be sanctioned if they don't get some of this done, and, yeah, and so, that's what it was all about, and so, now it's revived, and everybody has agreed to it, so, there we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, this had to be the longest MOU
Oh, man, yeah.
in the world to get this done.
And, on that, I guess we'll call it a cover letter, the first page
Yeah,
of that.
the county letter, agency letter.
The office director, I'd like to call attention to that lady's name. I met her at a meeting in Denver, Kai or Kai or what,
Yeah.
however they pronounce
Oh,
that.
yes.
But nice lady. But I actually asked her about that first name. So Kai, I think is how she pronounced
Oh, okay.
it. Cowell.
Yeah.
But anyway, what is the group's pleasure on the MOU?
I don't think we really have a lot of choice. I think it's necessary. So I think we need to approve it. I think it's one of those things that just needs to be done. So I'll go ahead and I'll move that we approve the memorandum of understanding between the state, Colorado Department of Human Services and the Board of Custer County Commissioners as presented.
I'll second it. Let's discuss it for a quick second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the memorandum of understanding between the CDHS and Custer County. Discussion.
So, Clint, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I do.
Take a look at the sanctions.
What page are you on?
That's page 6.
Oh,
Say that. Oh, yeah. There.
Did somebody second that? Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Bill
I did.
Thank you.
So I just want to make sure, what are we liable for here as a county? If she doesn't do her job.
oh, well, you know. She's new at it.
I don't know if this changed over the last one we signed.
Oh, the last one
Sanctions
was,
are different.
oh yeah, well, the sanctions were worse last time than they are now.
Are they?
They've taken the sanction, you know, that's what it says here, that, the sanction should not be imposed on a county for failing to adhere to state regulation
Yeah.
and conflicts with federal law, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We've never had a sanction for failure to do.
Or to meet,
Or
like,
to
if they're
meet.
saying,
Yeah.
payment error rate
Yes.
guidelines, if you haven't done that right.
Right.
Then what happens to us?
Yeah. It's just, no, I lost page 6 here.
So that.
I mean, I suppose theoretically, I suppose they could do something to the county as a practical
Well, that
matter.
last paragraph C looks like it, that last item 2 says the county will not be liable for that portion of this.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if there's a problem, they're gonna deal with it, and they sanction, any kind of sanction would be an absolute last resort.
We've never been in trouble before.
No, they, you know, if they say you're not doing it right, they tell you you need
Then
to
you have to
start.
clean up your act and then.
We have to do a corrective action plan on how we're gonna fix it and da-da-da-da-da, and that type of stuff, but no, we've never had a sanction on them. On it.
So that looks pretty straightforward, Clint.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you just get regularly from the state, sign it, don't question it, don't try to change anything around it.
You never get it done anyway.
A year and a half,
A year and a half just to get that one.
a year and a half, over the past year and a half, it took them to revise this MOU.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Further discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the MOU between Colorado Department of Human Services and Custer County, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Do you have the hard copy?
I do. There's the signature page, and then this is the rest of it, and then I'll make a copy. I don't know if you need a copy of it, yes. And then I'll make a copy for us, and then I will mail it off to here, and we will get it done.
And before we move on, so I don't forget, I want to publicly congratulate Laura and her department. They received a CSTAT plaque at the CCI Summer
Yeah.
Conference,
Yeah, they
and
sent me
Did you see the hard copy?
yes, he brought me the hard copy.
Oh, you already.
He dropped
Present.
it off, and then
Dropped
this
it,
is
yeah.
what they had sent me earlier. This just told tells what we got it in.
Right.
Because we did all of those, so if you guys wanna look at it, we
Yeah.
met the standards and all of that, so that's why we get the award.
Did we get it last year?
We usually do, one year we got it, where the gal from, the state came down, Julie Kroll at that
Yeah.
time was the deputy director.
Yeah.
She came down and made a presentation to us, cause we were one of the top 10 counties.
I think there was only 22 this time.
Yeah, and we were one of the top 10 counties that year, so,
I think we were top
20.
20 this
yeah,
year.
we were in the top 20.
64. So anyway, I just wanted to say congratulations.
And how
It's
much
nice.
money comes along with this?
None.
Well, none to her. They gave us $50
That
cash.
10 cents won't buy a cup of coffee.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I just went ahead and kept the cash because I had to go up and accept it.
That's right, they did,
No,
didn't
that's
they?
not true.
What is CSTAT?
CSTAT, could you explain that?
No, I'd have to really get, CSTAT, they measure, I'm not sure I'd have to look at exactly what that means because,
So you got an award for just
Meetings.
fabulous stuff.
Yeah.
meeting guys, I can show you this thing.
It has some description.
It
You
has
need to do that
descriptions on
so
it.
she can publish that.
They,
And you ought to take a picture of her.
No.
Oh,
no,
could we?
did.
Yeah, put a
No,
picture
we
in
did
there.
that,
Could.
we did that when we were in the top 10. We do
well,
not
we
need it
don't,
now.
we weren't here when you were in the.
No,
But
that's,
this
See?
this
That's
is
still-
what.
that's a
it's
big deal.
Meeting the guidelines.
They
and-
made everybody come up front and got their picture taken for the,
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and unfortunately we only had Tom there.
Well, we had Bill and Tom.
No, what I mean is he got the picture. It's too bad. They should have been you.
Really? Oh, well, I was gonna say, you could have gone up and
Well,
gone.
I could have, but I thought Tom
You
was,
said
he had a
Tom.
better looking tie that day.
He refused, and I said the only reason he did that, now I have to make sure the plaque gets back to Custer County in good health and presented to the appropriate
I took
department.
pictures so I can.
So they explained it in our conference the other night that they have numerous measures, which some are articulated there on that document, and to hit the 75% accomplishment on those measures,
You
they
have to,
recognize
you have to
those.
be above, like, what is this like, timeliness of new adult applications, you know, they have a time, well, food especially, you have to be 95% meet that for so many months out of the
That's
year. And so all of those have specific timelines that you have to meet.
It's an
And-
efficiency of doing your job.
It is, because CSTAT came along, Reggie Vika brought that in, but there was some counties, larger counties, who were taking, we have processing guidelines, where for food, you know, you have 30 days, where other categories you have 45, depends on the category, to get applications processed. Counties were not doing that, months, you know, 3 months, and they should have, they still don't have a determination. And so even though you have an MOU saying
Right,
we'll
that
do
you'll
some
do
of
it.
this stuff, it wasn't,
You weren't held in account.
yeah, and so, I don't know, Reggie came up with this, and I mean, we get, every month, I get a CSAT report that shows where we were, where, you know, and then they'll say you were, or we also get weekly reports on food and some of these things. You met your timeliness, but you had 15 cases that were timely done and one that wasn't, and then I always want to know which one it wasn't done timely. So, and half the time, we had one day, and we're like, what? We don't even know who this is. We don't have an application. Well, what happened was somebody applied for Medicaid at a presumptive eligibility site, which they can, but they also checked food assistance, which you can't do. So when it came through, we never got the application because you can't apply for food at a MA site. So all of a sudden, it's just showing up, and we're like, what the heck was this? We didn't have an application, we didn't have anything. And I brought that up to one of the gals that I had a conversation with about food, and she goes, MA sites are not supposed to take those applications. And I said, well, of course they can't, because none of the information for food assistance is on that application.
Yeah.
So we have weird stuff like that happen, so we just try to track it, because I want to know which one we didn't get
You're
timely.
doing a good job.
So, but thank you.
So were you in the top 20, or there was 20 counties that got it?
20 counties that got it. Yeah, 20 counties that
Out
got
of
it.
64.
Out of 64, 20 counties received this award, this CSTAT.
And they also track how consistent, how many years in a row they are. There's
That-
only one county, I think, that's won it every time.
Oh, really? It's probably a small county too, very small
I
county.
think it was,
Yuma.
I think it was median size.
Oh,
Yuma
really?
County has received that award
Oh.
every year.
Oh, okay.
Congratulations.
So Yuma is.
So give them a call and find out what they're doing.
Oh, they
Let's
probably
beat
have
them.
more help. We gotta get somebody hired because, yeah, that's my next thing to do after I get done doing all of we're at the end of the fiscal year. So all contracts need to be renewed, everything else. I've got 2 grants that I have to get done by the end of this month. One of them, it won't even let me into the site. I have a call, I have to put a ticket in with the state because it's not letting me, it's telling me the firewall's prohibiting it or something. I need to be able to get in there to fix that. But anyhow, we're just busier than heck, but we're gonna try next week to get the ad in the paper for Ron's position. So that will help us because we got a lot going on and we're having to do his job and everything else, and it's crazy right now. We've stamped it for him and everything.
I tried to look up CSTAT on
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly what it
CDHSA
says.
website.
Yeah, what it actually stands for, I don't know, I'd have to look.
Must be
Some-
Colorado.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Colorado statistics.
We always
Did
just
you
call
find
everything
Oh,
CSTAT.
yeah, I did a Google search
I
on
did too.
CSTAT.
What is it?
Colorado CSTAT, and I found it.
Yeah.
What's it stand for?
Colorado statistics.
Really? That's what it is. It's an organization that tracks statistics.
Oh, I'm sure they do, yes, I don't know.
As they described the other evening, that the governor was on a big rampage about improving all these performance levels. So
Yeah.
seems like it's working.
Yeah.
I guess that's,
Congratulations.
they hired
They
somebody
have-
to track every state agent.
You know, we are required, but it's so weird because we are required for kids who we have in foster care that they are seen on a monthly basis when they are in foster care. And if we don't do that, we also have foster care review that comes and reviews our cases and makes sure everything's where it's supposed to be. And if we don't have that done, we got a ding. But we got a report last year, or a thing came down. You would be amazed at the counties that don't go see these kids on a monthly basis. And we're like, how do they not just get sanctioned? It's amazing. We're just like, how do they not do that? How do they get away with that? And it's, and we are required to do it. It's to make sure that the kid is not being abused in the foster home and everything's good. And we actually have to see them in that home. So it's amazing to me that we have these regulations and still it's not being done. So anyhow, I want to talk to you about Fremont County, Crossroads in Pueblo. Did you get this thing about the detox center? Okay.
Wearing us out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I went down when they had the little meeting in Fremont, and the guy from Crossroads was there and talked about, he thought you would have to have at least 20 beds to be able to make this go down there. Really nice guy, very knowledgeable, but anyhow, Fremont County said they had a place over in the hospital, and they had a sober unit over there, and they went over there and checked it out, and they all said, yeah, thought that would be great. So they wanted a letter of support, which I sent a letter of support. Now today, I don't know, I got an email that said, Crossroads, that they have submitted a proposal to Aspen Point for funding. Did you get this one? Yeah, and they don't want to do it? Okay, so I'm just bringing it up, and I don't know, I mean, for what we have used before has been Crossroads, because for us, it's either Pueblo or Canyon, because Chaffee doesn't have one either. Chaffee was there too, because they don't have one. And it would be closer for Chaffee to go to Fremont than it is for us, because we're basically about the same distance.
So is this for us to ask for someone to go into detox, a location for them to go?
Well, if somebody...
I mean, I've read 25 emails and I'm still so confused.
Yeah, and I was confused at the meeting too, But, if we wanted somebody to go, if they're court ordered to go into detox,
Right,
that's a court thing.
right.
Mostly this is for people who volunteer to go into.
Really? Okay.
They
That's
also
the
have,
distinction I
they
haven't
also
figured
have
out.
voluntary, you know, I mean, they'll do both, court order, if
Okay.
somebody voluntarily wants to go into detox. Because there was a guy from the police department there, his concern was that they were gonna see an increase in their calls, because you're gonna have people going into detox and then walking out. And he said, that's gonna increase our calls. And he goes, so it's a locked facility, and they said, no, it's not really. You know, if they choose to voluntarily go in, they can voluntarily go out. Now, if you have somebody that's court ordered, obviously they're gonna keep them there. And so he was concerned about that, you know, and they said, well, if you know, I guess if somebody from our county went down and went in there voluntarily and then just came out and was on the street in Canyon, maybe that would increase their caseload. But, you know,
That's their job.
but yeah,
Personally.
yeah, you know, and they're saying, well, you know, and they're saying in Pueblo, they don't see that, you know, most of these people, if they're there voluntary, most of them stay, and if they don't, they just walk out, they're not causing a problem, so I don't know.
And is this detox for just alcohol or alcohol and,
Well, alcohol and both,
Both.
yeah. It's a detox for that, and then once they get them detoxed, and all it is just to get them so that they're not, more alcohol, because alcohol has a bigger problem if they try to quit, because they can go in convulsions and they can die.
Sure.
Not so much from drugs, which is a odd thing, but that's how that is. So they want them at detox if they're gonna try to become sober, so they can monitor them, so that they don't have to worry about some of these issues that happen with that. But once they're sober, and if they still need treatment, they move them out of detox. Then they're gonna go into Rocky Mountain Behavioral Health or whatever, or a private place or whatever, to finish it. But this is just to get them sober.
So what's the issue we care about? What are we worrying about with this now?
Well, they want money.
I know they do, but
Yeah.
so what's the issue? If we don't, or we do,
Well, what is the issue? You know, good question, because I don't know how many people actually from here go.
I was gonna ask. Yeah.
And I don't know.
Do you know
And
how
it
many
pro-
we've ever sent down on purpose, or?
We have never sent anybody down, but the sheriff's office, the court may have sent people down, you know. We don't really have the authority to send anybody down unless we're working with the
If
child
it's
welfare.
voluntary, I
And
don't know
it's
why,
voluntary.
that's their problem.
Yeah, it's voluntary. And so I can understand why Fremont wants to do it so they can keep it in the county. I can understand why Chaffey wants to do it because it's closer. It's closer for them for detox. For us, where we can send them to Crossroads,
Or wherever.
yeah, where they're already established, you know. So I don't know. I would think, yeah. I went to the meeting just to find out about it because the gal from Fremont County DHS sent me the information and said we're real excited about getting it in here. And so I went and just kind of listened, and I'm thinking, I don't know how much, you know, how beneficial this would be for us, because it's just a place to get sober. So
Do we have to act on anything? Doesn't sound like
no,
it.
you don't. And
I'd
the
like to get
gal,
off their email list, but
and
Yeah.
then, yeah, that would
Just
be
hit,
nice, yeah.
just hit spam.
And then, this, I don't know if you got this one was from Sunny Bryant, she's a,
Yeah.
did you, who's this, Crossroads, because we don't have a clue how, I mean, they couldn't give us them a budget on how much this was gonna cost.
Right.
Mm.
And there was a commissioner there from Fremont County at that meeting, and, Fremont had a lot. And then I was there, and then Chaffey County had a guy from DHS, the director, and, the county commissioner there, and everybody else was from Fremont County going on about that. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that, but yeah, and they're right, until they can give us a budget, anybody a budget, you're not gonna even know. But I would, talk to the sheriff's department and find out what they think the big need is, you know. How many people are actually going down, and if it's voluntary, So,
Yeah, I mean, they talk about the regional thing, well, I get it, but.
I said
it's-
the only
to me,
thing
it's
that I
more of
could,
a
yeah,
Fremont County thing.
yeah, and the only thing that I see that could be beneficial is if Crossroads doesn't have an event. Then there would be another place
Yeah.
to, you know, for a bed. And that would be the only thing that I could see for us that would be that helpful with it. But I just wanted to make sure you guys had this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that's.
I
I figured you had been, because I think I got it.
Yeah, I've been reading
Are you
it.
probably in this email
We are.
stream here
Yeah.
that went on for life, and I didn't read them all,
Yeah.
so.
So,
But,
can I ask just a kind of an off-the-wall question on your report?
oh,
And I
okay.
may have asked this question before, so forgive me if I don't remember. The LEAP program.
Uh-huh,
It looks like on average, we're helping with the LEAP program, 10, 15, 18 people, 20 people. And in February, we had 148.
well,
And I'm sure I asked this question before.
Well, that-
What went on there?
that's because in, January, we do our, well, actually, we do a payment in November, we do a payment in December. And then we do one in January, and most of those people get a second payment, and that happens in February. So they're getting a second payment in February, and then anybody that applied in the month of February is getting a payment too.
And that's why November is the same type of thing, right?
Right.
Got it.
Right,
Okay,
and
thank you.
then in March, anybody that applies after February, they're gonna get the same amount of benefit, they're just gonna get it in one payment.
I understand.
And so that's why it looks so funny. But yeah, if you look at November and yes, yeah, that's so weird. But in November, we did put on 127 households because we did it October and November.
Got it.
And we get the bulk of them there. And then in February, we're looking at those 127, the 14, the 20, and anything else that came in February.
I got it.
So that's why it looks so weird.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was an easy one. I can answer that one.
Good.
Sometimes,
No,
oh my
I don't
God.
follow you. I just didn't understand.
I know,
And
because
I
they-
asked it before, but
Yeah, well, you're not gonna remember that because it's not a big important thing there, but that's why that looks so funny there. And we did, LEAP is over now, and, they did one last payment. I'm not sure we had anybody that got a payment. If they applied right at the end of April, they may have got a payment in May, because they must cut off. But also, they did a $200 supplemental payment to everybody that received LEAP. Because the winter was mild, they had leftover money, so they did that. So a payment went out the end of May for $200 for anybody that had received LEAP
how
benefit
nice was that?
statewide.
Sure, they could have used it.
Yeah, so that's with that. So, I don't have any other big things unless you guys have any questions about any of the reports or anything, or you wanna go over them, or you have any?
Can I ask about filling the vacant position that you have, Ron's
Uh-huh.
position? Is the requirement that you have a college degree
No.
in social work?
No.
What kind of, and I'm just curious.
No,
what kind
not
of-
on that position.
Uh-huh.
I'll have to look, because it's probably, I'm thinking they probably need a high school education on that one. Because what we're gonna do with them, they're gonna be working with our Colorado Works people.
Mhm.
They have to do an assessment and a plan with them and that type of stuff, so there'll be a case manager there. We're also gonna have them take over the child support that we have. We're getting so much of it, and Rhonda does that, and it's between trying to keep cases going, because we're seeing an increase in caseload, that's becoming too much. So we're gonna have them do the child support, we're gonna have them do the case managing stuff, and take over the commodities, and.
So you would entertain interviewing someone without this experience and then train them?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
If you had the right person.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. And so I have to look up what the guidelines are
Mhm.
for all of that, since
Okay.
I haven't done that for a while. And, but it's not like hiring a caseworker where they have to have a degree.
Wonderful. That's what I was curious.
Yeah, we don't have to have that.
Good report. Thank you.
Okay, anything else from anybody?
I don't think so. I'm good. Thank you, man.
Oh, well, thank you, guys.
Thanks for being here.
Anything you need from us we're not giving you?
No, oh, I did wanna say, we moved, Stacy and Linda's office yesterday, and while we were doing it, we moved out file cabinets that were full of old cases and took them downstairs. And, Vernon and, Ed helped us with that. Vernon came over, took up the computers and stuff. He helped move stuff around. Both those two were in Ed, we took those file cabinets downstairs. That was really something in their room. Oh, well, we tried that. So we ended up taking the drawers out, but we got this one and we have them in that little room. And on the wall in this corner, and I said, I think one will fit there, and Ed says, I think both of them will go there. But on the wall, there was a 2x4.
Right.
On the wall that had nails sticking out of it.
Okay.
And we were trying to
scratched it?
Thank you.
No, but Ed backed in there to put that in there and got on that.
You got wounded.
He did. He never bled. We checked it out. But
Boy, there's no blood.
And so he goes, you know, that file cabinet will go in there. Well, first he got mad, so he went and got a hammer and he pounded those 2 nails in.
Good.
And there's up on the wall above it is another 2x4 with nails in it. I don't know. And Vernon says, so then Ed
Must
says,
be coat hangers.
I don't know. And it's down in this little bitty disgusting room, you know. And so Ed says that other file cabinet won't go because of that 2x4. So he went home and he got his saw and just cut that board off. And so Vernon says, yeah, he's gonna cut that board off, and when he does, the whole courthouse is gonna fall down. But he did, he went and cut that board off, and that file cabinet just slipped right in there, so now we had a little bit of space in there. But we tried to do that, and that wasn't working, so we took the drawers out and set them down there, and then we put the file cabinets down there, and then shoved the drawers
Well, I'm
back
glad those
in.
guys helped you.
Oh my gosh.
Ed's an old rugby player. He ain't gonna bleed just because he gets poked by a nail. It's gonna take long.
Oh my gosh, I was like, all of a sudden he's backing that in there, all of a sudden he's going, oh my God, wait, we're like, what?
Hung up.
Yeah, but and Vernon being big as he is and tall, he just wrestles
glad they
stuff
helped
around.
you.
Oh, it was awesome. I just wanted to let you
Yeah,
guys
thank
know
you. Appreciate
what a
that.
great job those guys
Good.
did.
Good.
Thank you guys.
All right, ma'am. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Let's pass those coolers on to those.
Yeah. Okay, let's see, I think that concludes our Hollow Still extension.
And just to let you know, I called up there and Diana said that Shannon is on a leave of absence.
That's true, she had told me that, and I got an email from her, actually, yes.
So,
She had some family issues,
And that's what it was.
where she came from, so I apologize, I should have informed you about that. So I think that concludes
It's too
our,
hard to say the whole thing.
I'm not sure
So that'll be okay with you?
Oh, sure.
where Mr. Canada went, but
Oh, that is.
And OT 6 is sponsored. Bought the whole thing. So the people that bought
you tell him we're still in session.
Yeah, big deal.
Well, that is a good deal, but yeah, no, there's just.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
You bet. She coming?
Any unfinished business,
she's on a
gentlemen?
leave of absence.
Oh, that's right, man. No.
I do not have any,
Do we have to quit early?
I don't believe there's any new business to come through the group since
Let's do this again tomorrow.
public comment. I don't think we have anything scheduled for executive session. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carries.